don't talk, we're good.
All right, it is 7:03 on March 7th. This is the Village Council work session. In attendance tonight is Councilperson McNamara, Councilperson Passion, Councilperson Grant, Councilperson Koss, Councilperson Martin, Mayor Southard, Legal Counsel Mr. Jesse Shamp, Village Planner Mr. Eric Fisher, and myself, Council President Cameron. All right, cool. All right. I threw together an agenda for tonight. Do we just want to kind of follow that?
Yeah.
You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, then let's kind of start with different committees, so safety. I'll just let you take it. You can kind of lead us.
Okay, so regarding the traffic at Minerva France, if there is something formal that I need to do to request legislation regarding the crosswalks and signs, someone please teach me after the meeting.
I think,
Or you can do it.
I'm
so,
going to turn this all over to me and then go back to the committees because I have answers for probably almost everything.
Let's do that.
So I don't
Okay.
want to like step on toes, but
okay,
I knew that you guys had a meeting for safety. Yes, I was not there.
yeah,
So I met with Paul Peterson Company yesterday at the site.
yep,
And went through where he recommended putting it because that's what they do.
Mhm.
He's our person that does our striping. He actually does all of our stop bars. It would be the thermoplastic, whatever paint. I do not have the estimate yet. I should have it hopefully tomorrow. But we met out there with him, myself and Chief met out with him yesterday at 11 a.m. And we had originally talked about where those cutouts were. I guess, he kind of knew what you were talking about. We are going to go over to the actual two cutoff. We are not putting it in the intersection. It is going to go further over where the two things are. He said you don't put it in the intersection. Like it's just, don't. There will be a sign right here and a sign right here before them, but it's going to be however many feet wide that it's supposed to be. It's going to be the right kind of paint, and as soon as I get the estimate, it will go straight to getting finance for it, or getting a PO for it. So I do not believe you're going to need any legislation, because I do believe we still have money left in, we should have money in that fund to be able to do the striping for it. So that should be good to go. It's where they recommend. So I would assume, I asked them how fast they could do it. As soon as I get the estimate, we'll get it turned around. And usually, depending on weather, maybe 7-10 days. I mean, it'll be pretty fast. It should be pretty fast.
That'd be great.
He asked us which signs that we wanted to use for them. We chose to use the crosswalking signs that they're already using, like the school, the yellow, whatever. Yeah. We just chose those. So again, he will give me an estimate for all of those. They will install all of those as well. So hopefully I have it tomorrow, but I mean, it could be Monday.
I feel like we priced it when we were pricing everything else, and it was probably around $3,500 if that
sounds about right.
Remember right.
It sounds about right. I don't know if it's going to be a little bit more since they were already here stabilized and doing all of that. So, and how much for sure the signs are. I told him to go ahead and keep the square because everything else is square over there for the signs to keep everything uniform.
Perfect.
The update on the flock camera. I have everything that we need to do on that, except it's going to be depending on where we decide to put it. So the two different things, obviously we installed electric thinking that we were going to put it over here. If we keep it where the electric is, we will have to install at least a 4-inch diameter pole and has to be at least 16 foot off the ground. We were thinking we would just attach it to the pavilion. Working with flock, that's not going to work. So there's a couple different ways we're either going to do that. If we attach it to the AEP pole, that is a process. There's a portal we have to go onto. It has to be approved through them. It is not going to be fast, and it is not going to be easy if we do it that way. But that's probably the best location for it.
Okay.
So we are internally battling. So maybe if somebody has a thought or a recommendation, we can install our own pole, get the electric installed, and have flock camera out here decently fast, but it's not going to be that fast. Flock camera is, in my emails, I want to say they're a couple months out, even with that. So we might be able to get the AEP done before that. But we are looking at two different locations, adding a pole over by the pavilion, by the electric, and doing it our own pole, and we're comparing it to getting it put on the AEP because it has to be, like this is already monitored. If we put it over there, we have to have a meter put on it. So it's a process. But like I said, that one's a good location over there because it's, the only thing we'll have to do is make sure that the limbs are continually trimmed. So it'll work one way or another. We have the estimate, we have everything, we're ready to go, except for exactly where we want to put it. And and all of that.
What's the advantage of putting it on the pole, the power pole?
Location.
So
It
coverage,
It appears that,
is that what we're talking
I will
about?
say, Chief believes with Flock, because he went out there with them,
Uh-huh.
like two, I believe, or they were looking on a map, I'm not sure which. They both believe that that would be the best location for it.
Okay,
Us installing a pole will be much it'll be simplified.
right,
And we could put the pole anywhere in that vicinity, but he still thought maybe the AEP pole might be a little bit better. It's already there, it's already installed, so there's a couple benefits of that. I mean, we have to buy the pole, we have to install it, we still have the electric to run up the pole. There's a couple things we would still have to do.
right.
So getting it installed is still gonna be a little bit of a hurdle, but not as big of a hurdle. And we're hoping, because Flock has definitely come into this area in central Ohio, that we can get them, since this is one of the first ones like this, we're hoping we can get them to move a little quicker for us.
Okay.
So that is definitely in the works, and we've been working on it the last couple of days, just deciding where to put it. And when I called AEP yesterday, he called me right back and said, this is what you have to do in order to install it on one of our poles. So AEP actually has a contract now with Flock. So we actually bypass 50% of the stuff that we have to do. We don't even have to do, we don't have to send in liability insurance and all, like you have to send, it's crazy what you have to do to install it. That's all bypassed because it's Flock that's
Okay.
doing it. They already have a contract with them.
Okay.
So it is much easier to get it done. The speeding sign. So we have been dealing with AA Safety on this sign. We sent it back. There was not a lot of communication going on due to the company radar signs not responding. They finally responded yesterday, and they say that they have tried out the unit, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We already know that there's something wrong with it because we've already tried it. So at this point in time, they are sending back the unit. The sales rep is coming out. He is going to install it with us, and we are going to change location a little bit because he said maybe it has something to do with that. So we're going to adjust the location. He is going to be here, and if we still have a problem, I'm going to request our money back, and we will have to go to a different thing. So there's no issue on our end. It's just a matter of getting the unit back and getting him back out here to reinstall it and see what the problem is. The unit does work without the cover, but we just spent X amount of dollars for us to have a cover. I wanted to have a freaking cover.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it just looks like, we're cutting a corner, and we shouldn't have to do that. So I don't have a time frame on that right now. He's working on getting the unit back to him, and as soon as that, it'll get scheduled. Again, I'm hoping 2 weeks, that we should be able to get it back out here, but I'm not holding my breath because it sounds like this company has been a little not so great to work with. And he even told me this is their best company that does this. So he said, you think this is bad? Try one of the other ones. This is the best unit. It is still the one he recommends. He's like, I just don't know why we're having such issues. He's not had this issue with them before. So there's that. So I'm gonna give it back to you because that's your 3 things, and then maybe we'll just do that for each one.
Well, I think one of the things that I was contacted about the speeding sign was its location. The fact that it's pointing down, yeah,
It's getting moved.
and it's next to someone's mailbox, which,
And maybe that's part of it. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, so they're gonna come out, they're gonna find a different location, in a similar location, but they're gonna try to do it somewhere, and maybe some of those hurdles were the issue.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we are gonna try. So,
Yeah.
Is there a specific location that gets more speeding requests than others? We should do it. Vote.
yeah, I mean,
Online poll.
oh, there you go.
let's,
In the past, it's typically been going downhill from my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, going downhills, people are a little more than up, but
Leaving the school.
I think overall, if we're just polling what we see on Facebook, MLR seems to be
oh yeah,
our
absolutely.
racetrack in the
I just
neighborhood.
think it needs to go.
Are there
50
other
feet or back
locations?
50 feet.
Absolutely.
I mean,
But the
I
whole
think-
point of buying this particular sign was that we can move it to different locations as we want to.
correct. It's not easily moved, but it is not
Yeah.
considered portable, but it is movable.
It's not we're not moving it every week kind of thing,
Is it
but
electric or battery powered?
it's solar.
It's got a solar array on it, but it has built-in batteries.
Yeah. So,
Yes, it's getting moved, and I would say, reach out to Brian over the next week or two if anybody wants to, and say, hey, this is where I would love to see it, and we can kind of all coordinate that. If somebody has And all I mean by that is give them an address. Say, hey, this is the address in which I think it should go in front of.
Well, did Chief have any recommendations?
That I don't know.
Okay,
I don't want to speak for, I mean, I don't know specifically.
okay. We can always reach out.
Yes.
Okay. Kathy, anything else? For you?
Mayor, when you were at Minerva France with
Yes.
Chief, did he say anything about the presence of the police? Because it looked like, I believe I got an email, it looked like the police have been there quite a bit
Yes.
at pickup, but I'm assuming that's gonna back off. I mean, they're gonna get busy.
No, not necessarily, I mean, I don't want to say necessarily, I always say it this way, you know, you don't want everybody to know what the police schedules are. But essentially, second shift, we have a good amount of officers staffed on second shift. When you go through the winter months, December, officers are taking vacations just like the rest of the world. So we had officers sick, we had officers, and it's not an excuse, it happens, it just is what it is. At the current time, we do have a good set of staffing for second shift. We still have our SRO, we still have all of that. So I never want to say that a domestic violence call will supersede that, but I would say a domestic violence call may supersede that. So it just depends on when they have, I don't want to say if they're not doing anything. I mean, if there's not some major call or something like that, I would expect that they will still continue to monitor the area. Will they sit there constantly? No, but I mean, it's always something that we can say, hey, 1 week a month, can you guys try to run over and, you know, spend a little extra time here as time allows. You do tend to see accidents and things like that during that time period. It just is what it is, especially, you know, 161 Cleveland Avenue, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to say when they have a higher call volume, but I do know that when they are out on other calls, they can't do it. But I do know there is some extra, I don't want to say extra staffing. They are definitely staffed to where they should not have to not be there at all.
Okay,
We
thank you.
should be able to see that. And if you don't, reach out to Chief and say, hey, can we, it looks like it's getting bad again, can we try to step it up again? And
Absolutely.
we do that with the basketball court. And sometimes I will say it does backfire on us because you guys might know this, but when we have too much presence over there, we also kind of get some backlash on that. Then it's that we're monitoring, you know, too heavily.
I think a good reminder, spring break's coming up, and last year we had
Yeah,
a lot of activity
Yes.
around the basketball court, which we weren't expecting.
yeah. And I think
And
now.
the weather was nice.
Yeah, and I think now with the middle school having a very nice with bleachers, with everything basketball back there, I think that might take some of, and maybe it already has, I'm hoping that that takes a little bit away from our basketball court. I mean, they have a very nice facility, I'm assuming they can still get back there, I don't think it's cut off in any way.
Yeah.
I was just back there today, so hopefully with multiple basketball courts around here, we won't see the brunt of it. And we really haven't much, like he said, spring break last year, but it was pretty warm that particular week, and I think everybody just went out. So,
I will say this morning I noticed one of our officers was in front of my house, which is where there were some complaints in the morning about people, because during school hours you go left out of the parent lane, which takes you onto Farview, which takes you to Yellow Finch, which takes you to Black Sycamore right there, and there was some talk about people running that stop sign there and people going pretty fast down
that would
Black
be your chief of
Sycamore.
police sitting there today.
Oh, was that him? Oh, okay, I couldn't tell who was in the car.
So he does take those seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely take
So
those.
it was nice. I was told he left right after I left, so.
And yeah, I mean, they do move around, again,
Yeah.
depending on if he gets a
Yeah.
call or this or that, but yeah, he was out enforcing the law today.
Yeah.
And he actually loves doing it, so
Good.
he loves getting out and getting in the car and doing that kind of stuff. Paperwork only lasts so long.
I love getting out on the floor every now and again, and you know, doing stuff like that too, so I get it.
Absolutely. So yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, perfect. David, legislation, yeah.
So I understand that there is an appetite to change the rules about like images for the village. I saw that on the agenda. So my understanding of it is that there it may have been overly broad and causing headaches for our, in-house staff making, minor day-to-day decisions. Is that a faithful assessment, Madam Mayor?
I think this is where it got a little, how am I gonna say this? It's much more difficult to do something so simple. Something that should be so simple should not have to go through a 2-week Facebook review in which we tell people that we're not supposed to be using Facebook, but yet we want to put a poll on Facebook to see which one they like, A or B. Like, what are we doing? That does not even make sense, except it doesn't really tell us that that's what we're supposed to do. But we're supposed to have community review of something, and it was all because of something that somebody didn't like. I hate when people come and they want to change or fix one particular thing. And again, I know I'm not really saying this right, but an agenda to do one specific thing, but it spirals out of control because you try to stop one thing, you're actually stopping everything.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you didn't like one thing, that wasn't gonna happen anyways. So, I know I'm not going into complete detail on that, but this minor
I know what you're
change,
saying.
yes, this minor change has made it difficult for us to be able to change our logo color, or like, if it's Pride Week and we wanna do something for Pride, if it's
Right.
this, we wanna change this. We have been talking about rebranding, we have this nice, beautiful, we wanna kind of use this as our letter, not letterhead, but we want to be able to use this for our signature panel and this and that, and are we really allowed to do that because this has been established, and do we need to have a 2-week review in order to be able to do, it's just become a headache. It's not something that we're trying to reinvent the wheel, we're just trying to make it that admin can do the things that admin needs to do. I changed the logos on the police cruisers, we didn't want them yellow anymore, so it just turned into this big thing. I think council is, in the event that council wants to review something, or council wants to do a yay or nay if it's something drastic, I got no issue with that. But I think, again, involving residents to get opinions of whether or not we use that logo or a circle or something else, I'm not saying they don't deserve to be able to, but you're just throwing so many ringers into things that don't need to be done, especially if it's just Pride Week and we're just trying to change something for the day.
I think what I am hearing is that let's not make it so difficult to change it. Let's maybe even just removing that 2-week public notice section is probably gonna be the best thing, in that it just comes to council. And then if council decides it needs public review, we can take that action at that time.
Yeah, I believe that would be a fair adjustment, because again, I don't disagree that it was an overly broad reaction.
Yeah.
Time teaches us things.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think the other question that comes out of it is, does this limit us to creating new logos? So for example, if we wanted a logo for the pool, does this limit us there? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if you want to chime in on it. You don't have it in front of it.
Where is this? Where is
It's
it?
an ordinance that got passed.
It was
Remember that ordinance, but it's not like in the code.
I think Barb put it in the packet for,
Section 24901?
Okay.
no, it's 05/2021.
So yeah, we've been talking about doing something for the pool and doing a couple different things like that, so we don't know again. Or is there just something that we should reword it the way that we need it reworded when we go to do this in legislation? Just add a section that says in the event that, village council wants to create a new logo for said X,
Yeah.
they're able to do it with just a yay or nay from council or something.
Like one of the things we've talked about is using the tree logo in the rainbow for Pride, selling shirts for Pride.
Beautiful.
And what kind of permissions do we need to get? Like, is it just coming before council? Where do we go?
Or is that something that we can add in there if you're just changing colors, or you're changing this, or you're changing, something as simple as that, the size, the font, the whatever, if it's still the same logo, just a different color, is that okay? And, we could literally put that in legislation, that if we wanted to change the color of it for whatever holiday it may be, if we want to do red, white, and blue for the 4th of July for a week, I don't know.
Yeah, sure, I mean,
I'm
that'd
not
be
saying what,
perfectly
No, that's cool,
reasonable.
too.
It just,
Change the word.
Yeah.
Any creation or substantial
Yeah.
change to existing.
Yes. I mean, the only thing, don't even need the consent council. I mean, I would,
The reason this happened is because of the police cruisers. The police cruisers, they thought I was gonna put a thin blue line on there, and they were just samples, and it was to have a conversation, but so that was all established because they thought I was gonna put a thin blue line on the cruisers. And that is not what we did. It was, we had 15 designs, we narrowed it down to like our top 5, which there were some that had a thin blue line, again. People can disagree, they can agree, but that's not the one we picked, it wasn't, but it was to stop me from being able to, and that's the background of it. It was to stop me from being able to do something that people thought that I was gonna do something crazy. I'm never gonna do something if council doesn't agree with it. I think people have learned that by now, but that's what the legislation was built around.
It was
So-
very reactive.
It was extremely
Yeah.
reactive.
So what if we just did it, that it would be sponsored by the mayor, subject to ratification by council, one reading? I'm going to do this, you can just bring it up at the next meeting, council says, okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, I have zero issue with council, but then they added the 2-week review.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
this big long thing, and it was just like,
Yeah,
Okay.
It was a different political environment when that all came out as well. Not to excuse, but to explain. But yeah, I think that'd be a fair modification.
yeah, I understand. Okay, and then the other one was about the plate tax. Did you see that in the packet?
I did.
Do you know about what the issue was?
I didn't catch that. I saw
Okay.
I saw that it
Do you wanna
wasn't discussed,
explain it?
to be
Go
honest, I came here
Yes.
straight from work. and-
Yep, you're good. He'll explain.
So we had it set to impose all 4 of the permitted, or it ended up being 3 of the permitted $5 increases. Well, we did that, we passed it, we submitted it to the BMV and the state, and lo and behold, without us knowing, you know, Jeff and I both missed it all, I still don't know where I would have looked to have found it.
Right.
The county had already enacted 2 of them. So you're already paying it, so this, the new one. Yeah, so this new one will only have, it will be a $10 increase.
so FYI, I win even though I didn't win.
That's right.
Yeah.
How did you bamboozle the county like
I
that?
called the
So-
county, I mean, you should see the
Mayor, you're
connections I have.
so.
So this essentially just replaces what you already passed, and we had dropped one code section from our draft because you needed to do the other ones first. And so this just, we sort of move around the code section by which we took the $5 increment.
So, so we can't just amend something that we've already done?
Correct, this essentially, this is the way to do it because we had to use that other code section, we didn't have one.
Should we, because we've already read it 3 times, should we pass this as an emergency and just be done with it?
We can't.
Okay,
This is, the revised code says that these can't be passed by emergency.
Okay.
But I talked with Jeff and we're all good on this as long as we submit it to them by July, so we.
can we waive readings?
No.
Or you have to do all 3?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's not true, you can waive readings, I'm sorry. You can waive
So we
readings.
can just do 1 reading
Do one
on
reading.
it and then wait the 30 days and that way we're not doing 45
Correct.
days? Okay, so,
So I think Jeff had mentioned that the ones that went to the county, we're only split 50-50 with that revenue, so, right?
Right.
So that it goes to Franklin County, but we're only entitled to 50%, but the $10 that we
Yes.
pass now, we wouldn't be able to.
You get all of it.
yeah.
Yep,
So then that would be the revision to this, is that we'll just do 1 reading instead of all 3.
yep.
Is
Alright,
that good with everyone?
that'd be fine. That seems perfectly reasonable to get everything.
I don't feel like we're trying to hide anything, the discussions happened.
Yeah, we're just trying to make it
Yeah.
right and, you know, accurate.
And
That's-
everyone should be happy that it's less
Right,
money. Yeah.
okay. Cool. David, did you have anything else?
I do not as of this moment.
Okay, great.
So we'll work on the logo stuff in the actual legislation committee on, is yours at 6:30,
Yeah, the 6:30 prior to the second meeting is how I kept it on the same schedule. It seems to work for everybody.
yes.
Perfect. All right, services. So one of the things that came out of the last work session was that services was gonna take on the rental of the community space. And I don't think that you guys have met since our last work session.
Pretty much no, but we're here.
I'm not sure how that's an abstract.
And I would
Pretty
like,
much.
to- if we can spend just, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll just look at the clock, if we can try to like hash this out in like 10 minutes, and then, I mean, I don't think it's rocket science, I think you guys are just gonna have to come to an agreement.
Yeah,
So here's where our issue is. Minerva Flora wanting to use it. They're not in PCA, but they should still be able, are we charging Minerva Flora? HOAs, we have an HOA, they should, in my opinion, depending on when they're trying to use the building, if it's not available, are we really gonna charge our HOA people to come in here and have an hour or 2 hour long meeting? But they are renting the building. We've done CPR classes for, we had somebody come in here and do CPR classes. I'm gonna be blunt, I didn't charge them. I mean, they're doing a service, and so we've had somebody doing self-defense classes. But here's where I have my fine line, and this is why I really want this hashed out. I don't want somebody to come back here and say, well, you were friends with them and that's why you let this CPR class come in here. You were friends with her, that's why you let the self-defense. It was for residents of the village. I mean, maybe they had friends in here too, but I don't want that to smack me in the face, and it's going to. I mean,
So,
Have we already established what is like a high priority time frame, and that way we're not
so
letting?
that's the question. So then,
Yeah.
I go to, what if Jason wants to have his employees come in here on a Tuesday? Nobody's using this room on Tuesday, so should he even have to pay for it? Should it be less expensive? This is kind of my initial thoughts. Saturdays and Sundays are baby showers, graduation parties, you get the point. I feel like that's a no, if it's not rented and we had a self-defense class in here within 30 days or something like that, fine. And it's also during the day. I think it was at like 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock. But I think any afternoon classes, or we start from here on out, no Saturdays, no Sundays, free period. If you want to do it on a Friday evening or something, fine. But I feel like Saturday and Sunday are your 2 big days. Maybe Friday night. We've had a couple people reach out to us and they want, like, every single Friday, they want to do board games. And that's not really fair to the rest of the residents that we also had somebody reach out, I don't remember what it was for, but they also wanted every single Friday. And we said, no, Friday's already taken. So we have AA meetings in here, in which we don't charge. And there is a sponsor, and it is sponsored from a resident in the village. So we're coming across more and more people that it's like, are we really gonna charge them $150 to come in here and do a board game? Maybe your answer is yes. And I just wanna hear it from you guys that it's flat out, I don't care who it is, I guess I kind of looked at it as, if it's a party of any sort, it's $150. Now, I'm gonna say something that I wish it wasn't recorded right now, but I'm gonna say this. We had a very large, this room was spotless when they were done. So this is not, anybody did anything wrong. But we had a very large group in here that was a nonprofit, but we didn't charge them because it's a nonprofit. But there were 100 people in here. So it was just like, that's almost one of those that are we really not charging for a nonprofit party on a Saturday night? I don't know. I'm not saying, they did nothing wrong with this, but I'm merely saying that can also happen. So we could have a nonprofit want to have something in here on a Saturday night and a baby shower on a Saturday night if we've already scheduled a nonprofit. So is it really just who comes first? This has become party planning central because a lot of people really do want this room.
It's a nice room, this is what we wanted.
It's very nice and that's exactly what we wanted. I want to make it as fair as possible for residents, so I don't know what you guys think on, but I also don't want the room empty. So
so,
Can I throw out a suggestion?
absolutely.
Well, going back to, say, if you're an MPCA member, Minerva Flora, you're doing volunteer work for Minerva Park, you get credits, earn credits, whatever, to like rent this room out. But at any time, you have to rent the room, say someone's on the MPCA, they want to rent this room you have to pay if there's food and drink in the room, period, because that covers carpet gates,
But we don't charge for any MPCA. MPCA can have any party that they want in here at any time, but we do not charge them ever.
I mean, like, say if someone was
On MPCA.
Yeah, they want to have their own private party, say, throw a birthday party or something like that, they can earn credits. Does that sound like kind of?
Yeah, I was kind of.
But like I said, there might be a bare minimum of.
Who's gonna keep track of all that?
Because
Yeah.
if you rent the room for board games, if you rent the room for kickboxing, or anything like that, you pay a mandatory $50 fee, and that is towards someone coming out here to clean up the room. That's not fair, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think let's take some suggestions. I think that's,
System,
yeah.
I'm wondering if there's any other municipalities that, that have a community room like like this and what are their operations?
Yeah, I haven't looked, honestly.
I don't know what, I know Westerville has tons of like Westerville Parks and Rec, you can go on their website, you can actually schedule it on there. Theirs is a little, like, you just rent it for the whole day, it's X amount of dollars, like, you can rent the one over off of like, right off of Main Street. They have a bunch of different ones, it's kind of like their shelters, they do the same thing, but that was actually like a little house room or whatever, the one that we just went to.
Did you, David, did you have something?
Yeah, I lean, again, how do we keep it fair and even, I don't have the answer to that. I would still lean towards the, if we can't make it free, which again, cleaning costs I get, I would lean towards.
If you make it free, you will have people fighting over the rent.
Right.
See, that's what I'm saying, but if we can't make it free, I would still lean towards it being as affordable as possible. I mean, I see this building, whether it's a common view or not, I mean, I see this as the people's building, I mean.
So, here's a thought.
Sorry, I was just, another question is, whoever reserves this room first has first go, right?
Mhm.
So if you call today and say next Friday, now that person gets to call on Thursday, and it says, hey, I want.
Yeah, but what keeps a person from saying, I want every Friday?
That's what we're getting.
And that's
The
where,
reserving it.
yeah.
We're getting groups of
Yeah.
people that, somebody lives in the village that might wanna do
Yeah.
court, they want, and these are examples, these are actual examples that I'm giving. You know, knitting people that may wanna come in here like on X at this time, every single Monday.
Yeah.
Or, now that I'm making up.
So-
So you can do it with, listen, if people wanna come and use the room and they're residents, and maybe you have some freebie type thing, but if there's a paying customer.
Yeah,
who's after,
that's what I was thinking
You
too.
tier it up at that point.
Yeah.
Well, the hard
So-
part is we have somebody that, like, for example, we have AA on Friday nights, and we also have a board game on Friday nights, and they're currently on alternating.
Mhm.
Both of those, we're currently not, I don't know that we're charging at this point,
Right.
because they're not, it's like 8 people.
I think,
Right.
so,
But like you
yeah, what I was gonna say is very similar to that. We know where our premium days are. Weekends are probably premium for us.
But what do you think about the Fridays, where AA comes in
Has
and,
there been a conflict?
I mean, I would call a Friday night a premium,
I would
but,
too.
Yeah, it is.
you know, I guess we could talk about that. But what I would say is, premium, you have 30 days in advance. Once we're in day 29, if there's no event,
Okay.
then we could say it's open up
To
for
everybody.
other groups, nonprofits, or groups that don't charge anything. Because, I mean, you're giving people a window. If you can't
I think that's a great
decide that there's a party that you want more than 30 days out, then,
Right.
Yeah,
idea. Right.
fine, that sounds
Yeah,
great.
I mean, we've got a baby shower for June 8th, we already know what it is.
Right.
Like, yeah, most of those things are pretty set in advance.
And
Perhaps
then-
you set the advance limit of somebody can't reserve a room in 6 months.
yeah, exactly,
That's the
yeah.
leading
Yeah.
date of like,
Yeah.
I can't-
One-off.
So anyone that's getting the room for free can't reserve it more than 30 days out.
Yeah,
And then it could be a lottery system too,
paid reservations.
at that point, where, you know, we do something that, where we
Don't make it too
draw a
complicated.
name kind of thing.
Okay, so free no more than 30 days out, but are we allowing them to do the weekends, or are we still just doing that?
No,
Weekends,
that
are under 30 days, if we don't have a paid person in the room, then yes, we could,
So even on Friday night and Saturday night?
if there's not a paid one.
Or
But
do
again,
we-
if,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you do it 30 days out? Why wouldn't you reserve a
I would
space?
think that you would.
maybe it's your third kid and you forgot, Jason.
Huh?
Maybe it's your third kid and you
I
forgot.
like that.
That's why you stopped, right?
What do you have?
The question, is
Yes,
this all
sorry.
falling on Barb?
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
That's the whole thing. It's
On
like-
top of everything else. So that's why I'm trying to simplify it, because I don't mind the questions, but you have to understand, she's not willing to make the decision.
Right.
And
Right.
as of right now, I'm gonna be honest, like, it's $150, but I'm not charging a self-defense class and a CPR class.
Right.
But I feel like it's gonna smack me in the face, because we have to have some sort of, like, why aren't they paying? What's the difference between a self-defense class and Little Billy's birthday party that has 8 people?
Well, if there's a for-profit, for sure, it's gonna use the room.
Are they charging people?
Yeah.
Like, is the CPR class charging
Yeah.
people?
It depends who's charging what.
No, CPR is
Right.
not charging.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
the self-defense,
Understood.
and again, I think it also boiled down to this might sound really bad, but, you know, events that support residents in the village.
Yeah.
I mean, people are coming in here because this is being offered, or this is being offered, or this is being
Yeah.
offered, and somebody's willing to take the lead for it.
Right.
The village, we don't have the staff to do that.
We
So-
really, weeknights, this room is in use a lot during the week just by council and MPCA.
It is.
So there's not really a weeknight. Weekdays, however, you know, a knitting class during the day is a
Tuesdays,
perfect
Thursdays.
opportunity to use this
Right.
room.
And it's, we don't use it. I
So-
mean, we use our office space
Right.
in there. It's very rare that we use it in here.
Right.
So,
It's not really a burden to anyone
no, it's not.
because we're here,
We can't hear them, the door's
Yeah.
open.
so.
Yeah.
I think that's where we encourage those Minerva Floras and, the book
Now-
clubs, the games.
Can we do this? Don't just.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, but pavilion is as well.
Your 30
I don't wanna
day.
advertise the fact that it's free if you just wait till the 29th day, because then every person is gonna wait to schedule Little Billy's birthday party
No.
until 29 days.
No, it's
I still
free.
think a party.
It's free for like those nonprofit
Yeah.
type groups,
Okay, I
not,
just wanted to clarify
yeah.
that.
I think
Any
the
party.
deciding factor.
Any party is $150.
Yeah, I think the deciding factor for a nonprofit is if they collect any dues.
Okay,
You know, if you have a board game club and you charge everyone $5 a month, you're collecting dues, you can pay a fee.
If this is like a resident-based event. then
Yeah, there's like
we
10 people.
charge.
Yeah.
If it's like Billy's birthday party.
Right.
Gosh, Billy is gonna be like.
Billy's like 100-some years old since I
Yeah.
started counting.
yes, because I always talk about, I don't know why that is the name that comes to mind, but it's always the name that comes to mind, because that is his pavilion and he has lots of birthday parties over there. Just saying. He's like 108 now.
He's like the opposite of a leap year, baby.
Right.
It's
It
4
can still
birthdays a
be-
year.
It can still be people's building, but it can also.
Yeah. So
Okay.
does that answer
I think so.
your questions? Okay.
Yeah, it really does.
Okay. Wonderful, moving along. All right, finance. You wanna give us an update? You had a meeting, you don't have to go deep in depth, remember, you're gonna have to give a finance committee report next Thursday too, so.
Yeah, we had a meeting with Jeff Wilczek. It was very informative. There's a lot of information. I'm trying to think of, we talked about kind of the overall budget as a whole.
Mhm.
I know I had some questions in regards to the protecting, what's the charge of protecting people, persons, whatever, because it jumped from like 900.
Oh, yeah, the security,
Last year.
security
And it looked
something.
like it was 1.7
Yeah.
million this year, and he had let us know that, that was
Fire,
exactly. the
yeah, we
fire
had to pay
protection
double
services
this year.
Through Columbus was
Yeah.
roughly $250,000 for each year. So the charge for 23 and 24, or 22, 23, all came at once. So it made it look a lot larger than it was, because I was just thinking,
Yes.
that's almost
That's huge.
double what's going on here. Give me some context to that. But you know, he shared that he is, there's been a couple of conversations, emails, discussions about possible reduction of the income tax. And Jeff shared his hesitancy at the moment. And I kind of share the same thing because, in my opinion, I guess, kind of matters. I guess I'm on council. But, you know, we haven't fully gotten a full year of both schools, income tax, what is going to happen.
Mhm.
And Jeff shared some skepticism in regards to the economy as a whole, because the collections from Rita this year have slowed substantially. And he's not sure whether that is just a hiccup, or that's something that we just don't see yet, but it's happening.
Mhm.
And it was like 20-25% reduction in income tax coming in. So, we talked a lot about, oh gosh, we talked about so many things.
I think the other big topic was that we have a levy renewal coming up.
Yes, thank you.
And so kind of some thoughts around that. Is it a renewal or is it, and I forget the term he used, is it
So
Replacement,
renewal plus?
yeah.
Is-
Replacement or
the
renewal.
discussion is whether or not we're gonna do it as a renewal or do it as a replacement.
Yeah.
And I think that's the decision he's gonna have you
I
guys
felt like
make.
there was a third option where it was.
There's a renewal and replacement, right? Renewal keeps it the same.
Correct.
And you know,
But,
and
yeah,
you can look at the budgets and all the receipts
Right.
coming in, and it's steady at 400,000.
right.
But 400,000 from 2014 is not 400,000 from 2024.
Right.
Correct.
But that's the way it's designed, is to never, when you renew,
Yeah.
it keeps it at that same rate regardless
Correct.
of the valuation of the home. So that was why there was potentially some consideration. I forget what the term he used was when there's the reduction in the millage or
Right,
whatever.
he's
Yeah.
gonna have, he and I just chatted
Yeah.
about it daily, but he's gonna have some further, he's noodling it essentially, he's gonna give you a further recommendation.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, we know it's coming, and if you weren't at the meeting, it's coming.
That's a 2025
It is 2025,
levy
correct,
that we'll have to
yep.
put up or renew, replace.
Well, I think the thing that it's difficult for a lot of people to realize, or, you know, and maybe they do realize it, but, you know, a lot of people talk about, well, this is the way it was in 2014 or 2016 or something like that. We have been pushing to get a lot of these projects done that had been on a the reason we didn't do anything back then, you take this money away, we can't do anything. So you're gonna be in the same boat we were in 10 years ago with failing
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that people forget is, I have spent 4 years, now 5 years, fighting to get just the sewers to where they are. You take the money away, I can't do that.
Right.
So the
There'd be more
next mayor,
sewers.
10 years from now, is gonna be in the same boat.
Right,
We are playing catch up.
Yeah.
So while I understand, there's nobody that hates, I shouldn't say nobody that hates it, because I'm sure maybe this person does or other people do. I hate it as much as everybody else, you know, my kids don't pay it, I do, I pay it for them.
Right.
I hate Rita tax as much as the next person. And it's not Rita tax, I hate the income tax, I wish we had a great source of income from our commercial properties as well as everybody else. But I think thinking that we could reduce it and not put ourselves in the same situation 3 years from now,
right,
let alone the fact that we are in need of a pool still, the lake still, like, we're just now in the middle of getting, and maybe we're a little past the middle, but we haven't started on our street projects
I
yet.
think what I think we need some follow-up on is, Jeff did say that he was gonna send that particular person an email,
He
and I
did.
think we just need, he
He
did,
did.
okay. Well, then I feel like it's closed at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a good discussion though, because. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely,
I think
yeah,
it's a great
Yes.
discussion because I think it's
Yes.
important for people to understand.
It's perspective.
but
Yeah,
it
right,
is
and
the
I-
way, income tax is our sole, not our sole, it's
Very
our
close.
primary source of income
Yeah.
revenue as a village,
It's
so.
roughly 2 million here right
Yeah,
now,
uh-huh.
where property
Yeah.
tax is 400,000.
Um,
So it's,
I mean, I think there's things that, you know, you can always do as a village to try to cut costs and things like that, but you take even 1/4% or 1/2%, the amount of money that you're cutting out of your budget is going to affect every person in the village. And I've had this conversation with Jeff quite a bit over the last 2 or 3 days. And
So one of the topics we talked about was, is there a way to increase our commercial property? And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole
Right.
tonight, however, I do have a question for Jesse maybe. So the question came up, we talked about Northland Plaza,
Sure.
all right? And the question is it the lessees who have to say we want to go into Minerva Park? Or is it the property owner, the landlord?
As I explained to Jeff today, we'll just go through this. This is the city of Columbus. So the ownership has to request a detachment,
Right,
which you're gonna get the middle finger from Columbus.
Sure.
Quite frankly. And even if you're gonna have to go through a legal process, Columbus is not gonna want that. Even if there's good reason, they're gonna say, hey, I don't like my police service.
Right.
You guys suck,
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
Right, right.
And Columbus would be like, no, you're staying in Columbus. And then the guy will have to sue, right? And maybe he wins the detachment case after who knows how much money. And then, of course, if Columbus is cooperative, I've seen boundary changes, but there has to be some horse trading, right, between municipalities. Obas gives something, Columbus gives back. Hilliard gives something, Columbus gives back.
kind of like what's going on in Westerville right now.
Right, there
Yeah.
has to be some horse trading going on, right? So Columbus is not just gonna let a commercial producing officer property go without a fight. I'll just tell you that.
sure.
It's gonna be a no.
And it would be the property owner.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, well, there was some other history with that too, so
Right.
we'll
Some other things.
work on that later.
But yeah, we can have a discussion. I talked to Jeff extensively today about, so you have a window of some opportunity coming up. And even with your small commercial area, you could take advantage of this window of some of the economic changes going on. And so I think we have to, it would be good to have a discussion sooner than later.
Yeah,
If the council is, favorable to what I may suggest,
okay.
then it's something that we can, but it's gonna be longer than a 5-minute conversation.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think, we heard some things at our training on Saturday that set off some light bulbs. And, is that something that we can do here? It revolved around some things they did in OBETS,
Right.
Yes,
There's some things, we did some zoning changes, obviously, for the longer term of a few properties.
right,
You just don't have a lot to work with, but it's more about, I think it's more about from the macroeconomic development policy decision, taking advantage of some of the changes that are coming down the pipe in the near term.
yes,
You have to see if you're friendly to those or not.
yeah, okay,
There's a way to make a lot of money.
perfect. Well, that's what we need to look at. So, yeah, okay. Anything else?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
Alright,
Yeah.
streets, you have any Jordan Road updates for us?
One of the property owners messaged me about concerns about giant, holes they left, so they filled that in. And then I'm working with Mike to reach a couple of property owners, which I haven't had a chance to do yet. They haven't responded quite yet. About meeting with them, about filling in the sinkholes. So when they're ready to regrade the properties, to kind of just mark them.
The sinkhole's still there.
No, he can't find them.
No, that's what I'm saying, because they're
So,
filled in.
Yeah, so he just wanted to meet with them and just make sure that that is like
Okay.
Who all are you trying to
Can-
get with? Because I was the second
Anita
one.
and Tina.
Okay, because
Anita-
mine had them, but I don't have any anymore. I actually went back there.
Yeah, so he can't find them either, but he was just like, he wanted to meet with Anina, which I can't get a hold of. And,
If I see her, I'll tell her.
yeah, and Tina.
So
if
can
you
I,
send it to-
can I ask, I saw the flooding, the picture of the flooding the other day on your road. Was that as a result of the,
So that happens when there is an issue,
Like a
that has
tornado.
happened probably 4 or 5 times that I'm aware of, and it is, and here's all I'm gonna say.
uh-huh,
It is extremely heavy rain for a very short amount of time.
uh-huh,
It does that, and it goes away within 30 minutes.
okay,
So this is gonna sound
Okay.
horrible, but my understanding with that is it just is too much water, too fast, and unless we're gonna redo the entire system, there's
Sure.
nothing we can do.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a
Has nothing to
result
do
of
with
us
that.
not having finished, or
Nope.
work in
No,
process,
no.
or clogged sewers.
As I
because-
understand, if we do, I think if we have that other catch drain, that might be actually improve it.
It might,
Gotcha.
but it does not drain super slow, it does go down pretty fast.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it is
Okay.
just a large amount really fast.
yeah,
Yeah, because when Eddie posted that picture, I looked outside where it was downstream, and it was coming down fast, but it
Okay.
wasn't blocking the street.
alright, yeah, I just wanna make sure we don't have something future that we need to
We are
keep on the radar.
very, very aware,
Yeah.
hypersensitive to
That's
this.
good, I knew that two of you would be very aware.
Now, like I said, I live across the street from where it does it too,
Uh-huh.
so it's right across from the church. So I am aware that it's done it a couple times, but the way Mike usually explains it to me is if it's gone within an hour, it's not a problem. It's
Okay.
just a lot of rain and it's an overload.
Okay.
And that's kind of the way I've looked at a lot of different things.
Perfect.
I have a street question. The service road that's along 161 that goes in front of Inskeep, is that ours?
Yes.
Mhm.
Part of it, only half of it.
Which half? Because there's a huge, ginormous crater.
So you have to understand that the only thing you can do at this point in time is cold patch,
Cold patch.
which doesn't really hold up, it doesn't really. So as we get to the next month, when the company's open, and it's not that Brian can't do it, so
No, I get it.
send me a thing and I will have him go do cold patch because it's still an issue.
Yeah.
But it won't hold, and so it's just, but it's a concern.
Yeah.
Just like the one that was on when he
Yes.
sent me that.
Mhm.
So he went out the very next day and put that in there. It's not gonna last, but it's, as soon as we get to April, I typically will call AJ Asphalt, is who we've used the last couple times, and have him go through the village and do all that. It usually costs us a couple grand. But make sure you get the list of all of any of the ones that you guys
Anyone,
do see and send it to me.
yeah, or send them to me, or just,
Yeah. And
anything
then
is
we'll
cheap.
compile a list.
Because I'm not, unfortunately, everywhere, but if,
No, yeah, I get it.
yeah.
Mhm.
I was just because I looked at some maps, I was like, is this Blended Township? Is
Here's
this?
what I'm gonna tell you, I have gotten away, and I shouldn't say this on record, but I've gotten away with Columbus fixing it a couple times.
Yeah, put it on 311.
Wow, this is the one that.
Okay,
No, there's an app, and you can drop a pin
say.
where it is,
Right. Fix it, yeah.
and if you
Because
just
it's
drop it,
literally, I
Yeah.
believe, and Eric Eric, am I wrong with this, that we own the one lane and they kind of really own the second lane?
I was gonna pull that up real quick, just to.
But for the record, I reported that dead raccoon that was Columbus, and they took the, or raccoon, whatever it was a skunk, and I reported that dead skunk.
Those
and-
can get it.
But listen, you know what they did? They took the skunk and they put it in Minerva Park.
That's lazy.
No, that's called payback for them to live pothole for me.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
just watch out on
It's
that.
an active biological
Put the
warfare.
skunk in a pothole.
But like, we need to put that skunk back. It's not, it's still there. It's been 2 weeks.
Anything
It
else
won't
streets?
rot either, it's weird.
Anything else streets?
That's all I got.
The
Do you have
boundary, well, the boundary suggests that we have all of Northland Plaza Drive between Ponderosa down to Farley, is what I see,
On 311?
along 161 there. So if that's what we're talking about, right, where the pothole is. Yeah, I believe that is all of ours.
Is it both sides? I don't know why.
And our boundary goes to the old center point of Double Grand Road, which has existed for a long period of time. We're not responsible for that, obviously, no doubt,
Okay,
handles that for us, but that would go back in the day, right? So when it was just a couple later.
Okay.
But I have to check a couple of the things, sometimes the boundaries don't always agree.
It's in front of the.
Is it?
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go into recs and parks for a moment. So, I guess this is a question, sometimes some of the fees at the pool we vote on as council, sometimes it's just in the pool itself. We are looking at some things for this summer, including like, a movie night at the pool where we set some prices for, and, like teen nights at the pool where it would be a certain price for high schoolers after a certain time in the evening, same thing for middle schoolers. I guess the question is, does that need to go before council? Or can we just make those decisions, or do you guys want any input in that?
Just make the decisions and just be like, this is what we did, you guys okay with it?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I trust, the day in, day out people over there kind of
Okay.
stuff.
I mean, we set the big prices as a
Yeah.
committee, so.
Don't screen weird movies.
No, we're trying to look for family-friendly,
Yeah.
movies.
It was like $5 a person, right?
I think what we talked about in committee was $5 a person, up to $20 for a family. Like, we wouldn't go over $20 for a family.
And they get what out of this?
They get to watch a movie at the pool at night.
Do they get to swim at the same time?
Yeah, the pool would be open, yeah.
Does that count as a pool entry fee?
It would, yeah,
I mean, because if they're not members and they.
yeah, it would be
It's
open for
to the
everyone,
public.
yes, it's open to everyone,
Okay.
yeah. Which is
But
a
if
lot
you're
cheaper
member, you
than,
technically can't use your membership. You still have to pay the $5.
Yeah.
yes, because it's an
Because
after
it's a
hours.
I just, for a movie, I was thinking $20 for 4 people to the weekend. I'm like, man, I'll just stay home, is what I thought.
Oh, yeah,
was
well, I
like,
mean, it could be
But
certain
it's
age.
like $1 a kid, but $5, $20, I'm like, you suckers. It's like kids eat free, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all under discussion right now, so we can continue. We just need to get it knocked out
How
soon
much
so we
is
can
the
start
movie
advertising it.
To go to
So-
a movie?
Yeah.
For a family of 4?
50.
Oh,
With it-
Oh.
yeah, yeah,
I've
Without
gone to movies
popcorn, right?
years.
yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it's so
So-
expensive.
Okay, hey, this has not come to my committee yet, however, it was brought to my attention in the last couple of weeks, is that the school is going forward with their Frisbee golf course. And I've talked about us extending it into our community. Obviously, I think if we can find outside funding for that, that's the best option, so I think we just need to see if that's available,
So, just to,
and is that a yes? You think it's probably out there, or?
I think there's gonna be I have to look into that. I'm not too familiar with the Frisbee golf grants these days.
Okay,
so just to
yeah,
kind of touch base on the Frisbee golf, a friend of mine was looking into that. I don't want to say it's not looking too good right now, but the average cost that we would need to continue that would be anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. There's only 3 golf courses that are around us: Delaware, somewhere in Gahanna, and the Hoover Reservoir. Minerva Park's always been known for their wonderful golf course. This would, he would be collaborating with a famous disc golfer that would put us on the map. The people came here to play golf or Frisbee golf, they would probably get hot and go to the pool, so this would generate a lot of revenue for us at the
Potential,
pool.
yeah,
That's the goal, at least.
there's a ton of potential there,
I'm
yeah.
okay with that.
And
I
I-
would say at the very least, it's something we could just budget on an annual basis. We could do a course, you know, a poll or two every year.
Sure,
And
yeah.
get it completed that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I think if we can find the money, outside money to do it,
Yeah.
let's explore that for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
sure.
there's a
Yeah.
parks grant or something that would allow us.
Well,
to
and I
do it.
wonder if we can tag into this Morphsey, is that who it is? With the trail coming in and any extensions there? I mean, I feel like they're
Sure.
saying, hey, there's money out there, you just have to ask for certain things.
Sometimes. But-
Sidewalks.
Yeah.
but one is an active park grant and one is a trail. There seems to be a lot more money these days for trails.
Gotcha, okay.
So,
Okay, so
Okay.
let's put in trails in the
yeah,
neighborhood.
you get hit by a thing in the head.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm hoping that we can connect
Can.
that trail to our trail and get those bridges fixed with
Yeah,
them.
we,
No, that's,
So-
that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Actually, the bridges can definitively be part of the trail system.
Yeah,
And as long as people vote for the CODA levy that's in fall, that's definitively part of the repairs.
That is
Okay.
November, right?
That's November, so.
Perfect.
So if, the Norwood Park does its part and votes for it, then
Uh-huh.
they'll see that and we'll get.
That'd be nice.
Money every year. which
that'd be
is good.
nice, yeah.
how do
That'd
we
be real
do that?
nice.
I want,
It's just us voting on it, I guess, us passing it.
yeah, let's
Um,
do that.
Signs were posted at the pavilion and basketball court, so if you did not see them, those signs that we voted on or reviewed are up, so they look nice. I think the last question is, I know we were talking about fountains at the pool, no, pool,
Thanks.
You're getting too fancy.
the lakes, and I know we got a second, prices.
What?
I know we got other pricing for fountains.
Wait, you said that the signs were hung at the basketball court?
Yes.
Okay, and now we're at the fountains, okay.
Yes.
So, fountains. I talked to Christian at Aqueduct.
Mhm.
We have finally gotten to everything that we want and everything that we need. I'm waiting for the final invoices once again to come over. I'm expecting them any day. I talked to him on Monday, Tuesday. So he is able to do it in our budget.
Good,
Yours is, the one over by your house is gonna have the lights, it's gonna be a fountain, the other one is gonna be a fountain with no lights, and the other one is gonna be
bubble.
bubbler, but it like goes to the edge of the pool and does whatever, but it's one of the ones that he said, and he is able to get them. He came out here on Wednesday, to put his eyes on the electrical to get us our final prices.
Okay.
So he says he can do it in the budget for those 3 units, so, and I asked him lead time on that, he said as soon as, he gets the signed contract back, which as soon as I get it, as long as it's the X amount of dollars we've already
Right.
budgeted, I will sign it and send it off. He said 2 months max, but he thinks about a month.
Nice.
So, I always like to say that because it,
Yeah.
if it goes to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so the recommendation from Parks and Recs was that, Recs and Parks is that we stick with Aqueduct just because we do have a relationship with them.
We did get a second
But-
quote and they
and then-
were within dollars. And I do have those in my office. And I shouldn't say within dollars, they were a very similar
Yeah,
number, and I was concerned, and I don't know that we should be concerned about it, but I was concerned with, Aqueduct maintains our current bubblers, they maintain all of everything.
Right.
So bringing somebody else to bring in their
Exactly.
equipment and then having another company, I don't know if that voids any warranties or anything, so just
Yeah.
keep with the same company.
that's kind of our thought, was our
Yes.
thought too, so wonderful, it'll be nice to see that. All right, and that's all I'm gonna talk about tonight. I'll talk more about pool, where we're at with pool memberships and whatnot at our official meeting. Not official.
March
At our-
31st is the deadline.
Yes, for early bird. After that, you pay full price. All right, so Brady from Planning and Zoning sent me an email this week. He,
Don't say it out loud. Somebody doesn't want to hear it.
well, it sounds very,
Oh, how wonderful!
it sounds very similar to that other thing that we were talking about. Anyways, Brady asked if he could speak with me. He said, hey, Planning and Zoning has some things that we want to see if we can get council's approval on.
Yeah.
And I said, come tonight, we'll be happy to hear from you. And I said, I'd really like to see the relationship between planning and zoning get a little stronger. I think in the past, whereas we've had a liaison, not everything feels like it came to council. Like I think there was a lot of things missing. And so he threw it back to Tommy and said, hey, and of course there was a lot of code rewrite, so I understand that there's a lot of other stuff happening, but
All right,
He
Tommy.
threw it back to Tommy as our liaison and asked him to
I'm
bring
very
it up
prepared.
tonight, so go for
Is there a
it.
presentation? Where's the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I wish I did not create a presentation.
You said you were very prepared for
I
this.
am, I have talking.
He already has that on his screen, and he
Oh,
obviously
sorry.
already knows
He
his
was-
problem.
Yeah, so it's bat houses, which is awesome because.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Save us money.
Yeah, it's, we wanna look at some installation of bat houses throughout the village. We talked about these a lot, they go on poles away from.
The mayor's house,
waterways.
away from the mayor's house.
Well, if-
Towards the natural
towards the
areas, the
mayor's
better.
house.
Yeah.
If we keep collecting water on George Road, we will install them, because that is where mosquitoes tend to breed.
That's
No,
500 feet from my house.
bats tend to like the environment we have in the village, with the trees and the open spaces and the access to the bodies of water. Bats are incredibly effective mosquito hunters, and it can reduce some of the people's, challenges with spraying.
Well, yeah, we have there are a lot of people that don't like that we have spray throughout the village, and that could
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah, you
help.
can opt
so.
out whenever that option comes up.
Now, my
Okay.
understanding, and I'm not a bat expert, but my understanding is it does take a little while for the bats to actually show up and start
It
using
does,
those
it's
bat
not
houses.
instantaneous, it'll take
Yeah.
a season or two to fully establish.
Yeah.
They'll find you, we already have quite a few here.
Yeah, oh
There,
yeah.
and they will bring more, but mostly they're around the lake, so not around your house. but
And
you're-
and the bat houses, you keep them up pretty high, don't you? Like, it's
Yeah,
not like
they're very obvious what they
Yeah.
are, they're
It's really weird because I watched some videos on them, and they're actually very thin, and you try to get them so predators aren't able to get in there, snakes get in there.
Weird umbrella.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
they will try to open their mouth, but if the hole is small enough, the bat fits, but the snake can't open its mouth. So it prevents it from getting the bats kicking or biting the back or
So when
whatever.
you see him hanging.
So it's kind of, yeah,
Wow, okay.
you're trying to promote that.
Okay, Tommy's talking. Okay, but listen, I have a question. So you know how as streets, we were trying to do some projects and then we couldn't do them at certain times because they were natural bat habitats and they were a protected species? How will that impact the village?
Those are different, that's a.
How do you know which one's gonna
Well,
move into your bat house?
Yeah,
You
but
can't
those-
discriminate.
But you're not tearing down, so it's when they get in the trees, and there's certain seasonal ones, and that's what causes your problems. This is not a tree issue, you put the houses up.
Where?
They're gonna go.
Where are they going?
the trees.
In the
Not-
trees.
not- No, you put them on poles typically.
Oh, gosh.
Near the
Okay.
trees.
On poles. and-
Gotcha.
And then they only live in the houses, but not the trees.
Because the houses are way better than the trees.
Right.
They're
But
safer,
this is
yeah.
a different, this species of bat that typically lives in the, we can send you information, but lives in the house, is different from the one that migrates, gets into the tree during part of the season and off it goes, which causes a delay in construction when they gotta tear trees down.
It's like a condo book for bats.
Okay, I don't know about this. Anyways, okay, I have another question.
It's a wonderful
Can we get
idea.
some sort of grant to put in trails for our bat houses? Bat trails?
Well, DNR, I think, has a couple actually, there may be some money for the bat houses, I don't, again, we'll.
But do the
look
bat
into
houses need trails for, to
Uh,
view the bat
Can't
house?
we like the Boy
because-
Scouts to build them or something?
The trails? Sure.
No.
Bat houses.
I don't care about that. I want the trails to
I
the
asked, I
bat houses.
asked someone that same question, it's like, no, when you buy them, they're properly made, it's just better, made out of cedar, they don't rot. It's just better. to buy.
Are you
We just wanna make
saying,
sure
are you
they're
saying
really
Boy
high
Scouts
quality.
don't make properly made bat
Yeah.
houses?
What's that?
Are you saying Boy Scouts don't make properly made bat
I
houses?
didn't say that.
I mean, here's the thing, we would probably have to install them on a village property. We're not talking all over,
No, we're talking about
like,
all.
lakes
our
and,
property.
yeah, so,
And
I mean, it's
have
not,
all around my house.
you're not getting them in your neighborhood, because we don't own property on Jordan
I
Road,
need
So
them
we
for
so,
my
have
Halloween
those
decor.
weird right away areas,
Yeah.
that you can put a house here and there on.
I need
Yeah.
it for Halloween.
But mostly it's gonna be around our lakes.
right, right.
But the goal
So,
is to reduce spraying if possible.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great
And
idea.
just so everybody is aware, the only time that the village
West Nile,
sprays is
yes.
if there is West Nile
Yes.
discovered, which could, they
Yeah.
need the West Nile ones.
Yeah.
If you guys ever want to talk about being bit by a mosquito, I have an infectious disease story that I can tell you, but it's not.
Are we concerned about rabies?
Don't pick up a bat that's on the ground, that's my advice.
There probably should be some.
So we're getting rid of West Nile, but
Can't wait.
we're getting rabies.
They're
Okay.
already here.
This, all we're doing right now is listening to the recommendations, we're not
Okay.
voting on anything right now.
Brady knew that he was gonna get this from me.
Wild animals.
So
But
like,
if it benefits the village,
Yes.
will just not go over.
Do these,
Yes.
what's the infectious rate of rabies in these bats that live
Oh
in
my
these
gosh.
houses?
Can we-
You don't touch wild animals.
We don't know, apparently.
I have little kids. Can you control your little kids? I can't control mine.
They'll bite that, you're dead, or don't touch it, you're dead, right? And then they'll bite
They
you.
don't listen.
Yeah,
They'll listen.
all right,
that's a prepared to
Next,
issue out of
next, number
Don't
two.
plant like things that can't.
Oh my goodness.
Extending the trails.
I don't know about this.
Coming Green Line Way. There's gonna be grants for.
Yeah,
bike trail.
we're getting there.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Is
We talked
Clintonville
about-
doing
we
this?
talked about
Is
Quiet River
Clintonville doing
Pond,
this?
which is the one where
Okay.
we let some things grow, that's over close by the tunnel. I
I'm
don't
sorry.
know if he's
We-
reached out to you, Jesse, yet about perhaps talking to a family of Mary Yost to maybe modify the
The money.
funding, because currently it's only used for perennials and for only purchase of the plant.
And then use labor. That's the-
So,
Right.
So what's the, I'm sorry, I missed what you
oh
said.
no, the Mary Yost Pond.
No, I
is
got
what
that
we're-
part. Oh,
Yeah.
what? Mary Yost
That's what we're trying
Pond?
to maybe,
Mario's
They want
garden.
to name the pond, they want to spend the money on the labor along with the plants. Plants are one thing, but then we don't have the labor money.
Okay.
Plants in.
So put plants around that pond
correct,
From-
yeah, because,
and,
yeah,
okay,
we have funds in there, I think it's like $20,000 or
The
something.
Marigolds Fund it's a
Yeah.
lot bigger than people think it is.
And it's just, we want an opportunity to use it because it's just sitting there, we don't have the ability to use it. And yeah, so we wanted the village attorney to look to see if we have a donor, change in donor intent from the Yost family so we can
Okay.
see if these funds could be used, not only for purchasing plants, but also for the work in planting. If we could change the donor intent, then we could look at expanding most or all of the funds to create a sustainable landscape plan using native plants for the pond and surrounding area. And we would then name it after Mary Yost. And that would be a great, great thing.
okay,
Disc golf,
yep, which we just
we
talked
kind of
about.
talked about that.
Gotcha.
We know that River France is gonna install, we'd like to look at planning additional holes to create a full course through the village.
Yep.
Another thing was attempting to create a comprehensive walking path plan. We need to try, for grants and other funding opportunities for walking paths, barring the potential CODA thing, it usually behooves us to have a good plan in place when looking for funding, so we can say, here's what we'd like to do, here's what needs to be done, to have safe foot traffic throughout the municipality.
So does, on that particular subject, does planning and zoning want our blessing on coming up with that plan? Or do they want council to come up with a plan?
No, I think the way it'll work is P and Z wants to move forward with planning it. We need perhaps some funding for a professional to do some of the
Gotcha.
work. Once we get to the point of, because to do an actual formal plan, you gotta have some,
You gotta get the
you
engineering
gotta,
stuff.
well, yeah, the architect,
Yeah, yeah.
the land plan,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
land
I got-
architect.
Gotcha.
using there.
So it's funding,
Maybe a little bit of funding.
gotcha.
But it'd be good for, grant opportunities for sure, that way we can get some free money to have people.
So I think the short,
to go and not 6 months waiting for a plan.
I think the short answer is yes. I mean, I'm kind of speaking for council right now, but I don't think anyone up here is opposed to doing a walking path plan. I think we just need to figure out what that's gonna cost and then bring it back to council.
I love everything that was just talked about, that's, or,
Yeah.
I'll go back to that, they are.
I mean, as far as
such
that
benefit.
one goes, I'd say go ahead, like, that seems to be a,
We'll get some quotes from a couple
Yeah.
of professional groups and see what they suggest.
I mean, I'm not saying no to the rest of them either. I think
Yeah.
we just,
No, the last thing, not least, was the tunnel. So, we're, the tunnel, you know where the tunnel is?
yes, I did.
So while there's some lighting in the tunnel, some residents still don't feel safe when they walk through there. Perhaps evaluate the benefit of adding safety measures to increase real or perceived safety in the tunnel, and also seek to reduce or eliminate vandalism. A possible way to reduce vandalism and increase enjoyment. P&Z would like to look into the possibility of an art installation into the tunnel.
Who's gonna do the art?
That's to be.
Council.
Yeah.
I am not artistic.
There are
No,
a lot
I think-
of,
I'm up.
artists here in the neighborhood that we see during the arts festival.
Maybe a mural part
We
flag.
can, you also say, we can collaborate with them, maybe if someone did little murals or kind of collaborate together, or we just had one artist do, well, I don't know, but the point was that if we were even gonna do something like that, we should definitely have a camera, because more likely someone's gonna vandalize it. So that was two birds, one stone.
Yeah,
If we did,
Do we have electricity up there?
we did, yeah.
we have lights.
Yeah, there's already
But
lights in
another block
there.
camera's gonna cost you in the neighborhood of another $500.
Yeah.
You can't continue
We
to
can't
get different
afford to do
ones at
that.
this point, you're talking $500 or something like that.
Yeah,
And the second part to this is, there's the devil's advocate to it.
How many people are using that tunnel?
You paint, you do make it pretty and all of that, you're still gonna have people vandalize it. I mean, that's just the nature of, and I don't wanna say kids, but that's the nature of kids. So then do you go repaint it? At what point do you repaint it? Because, I mean, my first week here, Brian actually has video of me cleaning in the tunnel because there was
Vandalism.
graffiti in the tunnel. So I don't know that you're gonna stop that. I think you're actually bringing more attention to it if you put, that's my opinion. I wasn't at planning and zoning. My opinion is you're just asking for it to be messed up. I think it's a great idea in a perfect world. I think it would be nice if it was pretty, but then you start, who's gonna have that conversation is, okay, are we putting just animals? Because as soon as you start putting words, you've got people that don't like this and people that don't like this. I just feel like leaving it alone is.
What if we just put a bunch of graffiti up there and there's no room for one?
Let us blend
As long as we do, I would love to do that.
That would've been funny.
Please tag this area.
Yeah, honestly, we should just tag it ourselves and.
But then what they would do is they just scrub it all clean, because it's about counterculture.
There are things that you can do, because we looked into this quite a bit before, because we were having, this is probably the 6th time we've had this conversation, I would say at least that since I've been here. There is the possibility of painting the inside of it, just all a basic clear color or something else, but once you do that, you can't paint anything else.
Well, and you'll constantly be maintaining it from that point on.
Yeah,
So
it's the maintenance.
I'm not thrilled with that.
What's wrong with the lights?
All right, so I'd say, just listening to council, I think we're interested in hearing more about bat houses.
Yes.
I think the Mary Yost Pond is a nice idea. Let's explore that a little more. We've already talked about disc golf, and I think comprehensive walking paths, you're probably getting a thumbs up for that. The tunnel is probably,
It's a maintenance issue.
Yeah, I would say so.
maybe keep thinking on it.
Wait,
Maybe there's a better option or a
what's wrong with
different
the lights
option.
there now?
What do you mean, what's on the list?
What's that?
Which,
Are there lights there
Yes.
now?
Yeah.
What's wrong with them that there's a perceived?
I think
They're
there's
not-
not enough of them.
Can we put in brighter bulbs or something?
dark light.
Yeah.
They're bright?
We did that when doing mine, because it was gonna be a dark tunnel, and I got on and said, hey, we need to light this up, this can't be like this, and they put it in. So.
Yeah. there's
Can we do
definitely-
like a motion detector thing, so they, like,
I think your next best option, quite frankly, is, and I think you should do it in all these kind of areas, you should put in a camera there at some point, right? It just would be good, and then you could put a sign saying, audiovisual recordings here, and then, you know, but
can we just put up a sign?
I think we should,
you can't, but then you're liable to, people.
I think we should put electricity.
You don't know what I'm gonna pop out with a cell phone, you don't know that.
We should put electricity all along that trail, and then for Halloween, we have a Minerva Park haunted trail, and we charge people to go down it.
I think that's a great idea.
Actually, yeah, sold.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, okay, and then we'll raise money for a camera.
Extension cords from there, so that's
So, and-
very.
I mean,
There is electric over there now for the fountains, there
Right.
is I'm never gonna tell people no, I'm telling you it's another $5,000, but if it's somebody's safety and they feel like that's a
Sure.
problem, concern, or issue, but you're looking at probably another $5,000, and that's a yearly fee.
right.
Um,
I think we keep it on the radar. Right now, I don't know that we've really heard a great call for a camera in there.
I don't walk at night, I do that for my
Yeah,
safety.
I think
So-
because that's the only place that's lit on the whole trail, like, why are you
Yeah.
out there at night anyway?
Yeah.
So, you're
And
probably
I'm,
walking
yeah,
with a
I'm sure
flashlight
they
or
have their reasons,
something.
maybe they work during the day or something, or, that's their only time, so I choose not to walk at night.
It's nice to
I don't-
ride a bike on it, nice.
It's nice to ride your bike on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Okay.
I'd be afraid a deer would run out and hit me.
Anything else from
I
planning
can
and
see that
zoning?
for you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so
Yeah.
one of the,
Was that?
It's bad.
so one thing that I've heard,
If you were blessed by
With
that,
conversations
you'll
through-
say thank you.
residents is understanding what the 5-year plan is for the village. I'm not saying we need to come up with that tonight, I just think it's something that would start the conversation. We know that there's some street planning that has already taken place. We know that there's lakes and maintenance buildings and things like that short term, but what are we working on past this? What do we want to see? So again, I think I think we start the discussion, but it's not a, let's nail it, or not nail it, knock it out tonight.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, took away from the OML meeting that we went to was I think it's CIP, commercial improvement plan or something.
Oh, yeah.
Community, yeah. But it was just kind of outlaying, like the 5-year plan, and I think this kind of leads back to the finance, and I wanted to bring that up, but I forgot at the moment. But, in helping
It does, yeah.
villagers understand, hey, listen, these things are happening, and like Jeff said in the finance meeting, the 2 and 3 year projects, those things are already moving forward.
Right.
But the 4 and 5 year, and I even think, something just kind of peeking into the next 5 to 10 years
Right.
is possible as well, just things that are on the docket that are gonna need to be evaluated, because I think that helps people see kind of the transition.
I think it helps all of us just know which direction we're headed, so.
So it's easier to explain.
So I think it's just kind of collecting what we already know, because I'm sure you have a couple things on the radar. Like I said, Jeff already has the list with streets and stuff like that. We've talked about the pool coming up as a possible project, so just kind of putting it into a map, something that we could even distribute.
So on that segue,
Yeah,
nicely, because I was just gonna mention it, but I'll mention it again at the council meeting next week.
yeah,
We do finally have the GIS map live for people to see. I'll send the link around Bart to put it under government services or something where we're trialing it. So review it. We're going to, right now it's still linked to our engineers. Our engineers are holding it. We're going to transfer it over more to an Esri cloud situation, and then we'll have more control of how it looks and feels. But when you can click on the different parcels or on the structures, for water or sewer, and information comes up. In the same sense, you can have a layer where you can overlay your CIP plan and things that you want to do.
Nice.
And that's a good way to show
Yeah.
villagers how things will progress on a 3, 5,
Right.
and 10-year basis.
Right.
If you do certain things.
Yeah.
Pathways can be overlaid to when we get the proposed plan.
Yeah.
And it's a nice visual way for people to kind of see how the
Nice.
village will change.
nice. I
I
like
think
that.
part of, just to, exactly what you're saying, more of like a document of some sort or something like that, we know what's going on.
Right.
We talk about it
Right,
day after day or week after week, but unless you're paying attention to every single meeting, you may not know that. There's plenty of people that know that have no idea we're talking about a pool or renovations or anything else, and it's, they may not listen to every single meeting, but if we actually had a document, we used to have more of like a 5-year budget, on the website, we used to have different things like that, but having it to where somebody can actually look at it and say, okay, these are the things that I see coming up versus, again, us just,
right.
we know what's coming, but I do think that's one thing that we just don't have out there for people to easily be able to see, what are we really planning on?
Right.
I know I was one of the folks that say, let's map out a 5-year plan, but let's do maybe something more realistic, like 2 or 3 years.
Well, I
We
think
can
that's,
do it, yeah.
I think that's what happens
All of
is just because we say it's a 5-year plan doesn't mean that it's happening in year 5. It's just a vision.
Right.
Really kind of the 1 to 2 years should be the things that we're really putting the plans in place for. And those type of things, 5, 6, 7 years out are, hey, this is where we're thinking the direction we're headed. No one's holding us to it, so. Because it will change each year. Every year, as we get closer to it, we'll reevaluate it and say, you know what, maybe this gets pushed out another year, maybe this moves here. This becomes a priority, so.
We're on the 5-year plan for that Maplewood intersection to be fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about
Right.
that since before I was
Right.
the mayor.
So I think we have a lot of knowledge around some stuff, but the community does not see that knowledge. So part of this is just putting it into a map of some kind, some visual that would say, hey, this is where we're headed right now, so.
We've talked about that with like the green space
Yeah.
plan. What are our plans
Yep.
over the next 5 years for green space? What are our plans
Yep.
for street projects over the next 5 years, sewer projects?
Yep.
I mean,
And I think you can do that. You can say, streets, and here's our 5-year plans. Here's Parks and Recs, here are our 5-year plans. Here's green space, here's our 5-year plans. And,
that would be really cool. I think a lot of people would appreciate that.
yeah. I've heard it for a while, especially when we started talking about the pavilion, putting that in. It's what's the plan for the village? What's the plan? And it's like, well, we have plans, it's just,
Well,
Yeah.
part of the thing is sometimes things come up.
Oh,
They're discussed
absolutely.
a long period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, they were discussed, like the pavilion was discussed for some time.
Right.
At P&Z and finally got it's, you know, into the light and
Yeah.
fund it and
Yeah.
was done. And even then, it was still, but it's just like, why didn't I know? Well,
Right.
it didn't being discussed, but yes.
Yeah, well, even a line for P and Z, you know, what's their 5-year goals, you know?
So,
Depends on what council has the appetite for.
Well, sure.
We serve at the interest.
Maybe we should do a 4-year plan. A 4-year council plan.
All right, so I just wanted to bring that topic up tonight, I didn't want us to really hash it out, so. Mayor, anything
No.
you want to bring up?
Oh, no, I think I've talked enough, but I
Okay.
see right underneath me is something I can comment on.
Well, I think we had some updates the last time, do we have any
I had a
further
meeting
updates?
yesterday.
From?
Does it sound like I've been busy this week? Because I have.
Yes,
Okay, so I had a meeting yesterday about the maintenance building. So we looked at some preliminary designs with our engineer. We looked at the location, we looked at the floor plan, we looked at, the design, inside, outside, all of that, and we kind of hashed through a few things that, and when I say we, admin, we kind of looked at some things that we liked and didn't like, and we didn't like the location in which they have already gone out, they've already looked at the place in which it should go, which is not where we want it to go, so it is gonna cost us more to get it where we want it to go, but it will disturb the least amount of residents. It's gonna disturb some dead trees. I'm not saying that there aren't live trees there, but there's definitely some trees that need cleaned out in the area. I don't want it up towards the road, I never wanted it towards the road, because I think it needs to be a little bit further out of sight, out of mind. So I wanna say it's around 2,400 square feet, there is gonna be a loft area to where we have some storage. It is going to be the bare minimum. This is just, again, a project that we are trying to get done with TIF funding, that, you know, we already are short on the lakes, we're already short on that, but, you know.
is it similar to what we looked at the last meeting, those plans?
It's a square, yeah, it's a basic square,
I
it's
mean,
gonna have
there's a
3 doors.
restroom, an office,
It's got a
some
restroom,
beds.
an office, it's not being furnished, we are gonna do all of that the way, you know, whatever we have laying around here is kind of
Sure.
what we're gonna use.
Sure,
It's gonna have your basic electric, we are working on making sure that the electric is suitable for maintenance, so it's probably gonna be a little bit more upgraded for that.
Okay.
The,
AC on that?
What's that?
Is it just electric heat in the bathroom, or is it gas heat?
there's gonna be 2 different heaters, one on this side and one on this side, so there are some options. There's gonna be, we're talking about doing some, I don't know what they're called, and Eric, you might know, they're not skylights, but there's the newer version of what goes in the ceiling, they're in the thing, they're round, but it does produce some more light.
The domes?
Yes,
Yeah.
so we're talking about doing some of those types of things. One of the doors is gonna be a very tall door, the other 2 are not gonna be, they're gonna be your basic standard door.
right,
We're not doing 8 or 10 foot wide, we do want wider doors, you know, there's, the things that are gonna be more difficult to change later, we're doing the way that it needs to be done. So the tall doors, the wide doors, you know, those things we are looking at doing. The goal is April 1st-ish, it will go out to bid. We are hoping by around the 22nd, we will have bids in. We plan on bringing it to council that week of April with X's, because we will not have picked one yet, but to get it to a first reading so people know it's coming.
Okay.
And we don't love doing that, but if we want to see this done this year, that's kind of what we have to do.
yeah.
And then the goal is going to be that once we go over all of, you know, we get Mike's recommendation, assuming we even get it, once we get those and they're acceptable, he'll give us his recommendation, and assuming that we are able to pick one, it would come to you guys then that first meeting of May, and we would ask you guys pass it. And assuming that it's passable. I mean, again, there may be some issues and you guys aren't ready to do it, but in the event that it's able to be done, that's kind of the timeline that we're looking at. So yes, we had a lot of headway yesterday.
Okay.
Completion date, we would expect it to, we would hope that it would be done before Thanksgiving. That's our goal.
Okay.
We have bigger goals than that, but
Yeah.
November is the,
Okay, anything else with that?
No.
Okay, or anything else, sorry, not just that. Oh,
I talked to a resident last week, they brought something to my attention. Given the fact that there's no one there at GFS anymore, they said there's a lot of legal dumping going on. I have not verified that yet.
Legal
But
what?
supposedly illegal dumping, like a
Dumping.
bunch of trash.
Well-
I guess the trash has been picked up, but there's still a bunch of tires out there.
We have to cite property owners for that.
yeah,
But I did say that if you did see some kind of thing going on, like people dumping tires, you know, you can either call the police, write down a license plate number, and we can look into that. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I've not noticed it yet.
You have
but-
anything for
I
us
haven't, I
tonight?
haven't seen anything.
No, the GIS.
It's like cool, though, like, if you can turn it
Okay.
back on the way home.
Any,
I go there all the time.
I know, I haven't seen it.
anything else with
It must be
right of
all the way
way
down the bottom.
I haven't seen it.
that you wanted?
But I
Like,
drive
do we
past
need
it
any
all
further?
No.
I mean, we've started some discussions on it. Do we need to, what are our next steps in figuring out what's gonna get, how are we gonna?
Oh, are we talking about the policy in that regard?
I guess, well, last time we were talking about, hey, these are all the things that are in our right of way.
Yes, so John Canty's back, and we had a little discussion, so he already sent something emailed to review, I think, copy the mayor, so we're having a discussion in-house, but I think from our last meeting, unless, you know, with this group, unless there was something additional we wanted to add, his advice was apply it fairly, so we were looking at a way to apply a fair policy to go out and just notice people in a non-aggressive manner to say, hey, we want to let you know that this is in the right of way. It could be a rock, could be timbers.
Right.
You know, please, remove those, or we can take care of it for you, essentially.
Okay.
You know, deemed to be problematic for whatever reason, might be because it's in the road, might be because it's, tallish, and,
Okay.
whatever. So it's a hazard, essentially.
Right,
So we were gonna go and apply that, and give people notice first, and then
okay,
remove them as, move down the street,
Okay.
something along those lines.
all right. So, you don't need anything from council at this
Not
point?
unless there's something very specific you wanna direct us on.
No, I think,
Snow stakes can be in everyone's yards, and you should have 5 per yard,
Yeah.
being funny.
no, I think if you need us to back you up on that in any way,
Right.
that's kind of what I'm asking.
Yeah.
You know, do you need us to do anything or would like us to do anything to help?
I appreciate that. No, I think we got good direction the last time,
Okay.
from
Okay.
both Jesse and you guys, and I think we're gonna proceed with, with just
Okay.
handling it in an even-handed as possible manner, and go from there, just kind of street by street. It'll take a little time for us to get through
Sure.
the village, but we'll do it.
Sure, okay. All right, cool. I just wanted to make sure that there were no loose ends with that topic.
Not at this time,
Well,
unless there's
that's-
something specific that you get
No.
something, I'm sure you're gonna get something in your ear after we start.
I'm sure, yeah, no, I suspect that. I just want to make sure we all know proper ways of responding and that, yes, our code enforcement people are out there doing their job. It's going to take some time. Did y'all get that message? Okay. Anything with the lakes?
Not this time.
Nothing
They,
there
Mike
to,
and them, they have been out there sort of doing
Yeah.
whatever it is they're doing. I don't have any updates
Soil
from that
sample.
yet, but they have been out there, the residents have been notified. As those letters went out, multiple residents then started calling Mike. Mike is now taking a list of all of the things of everybody's concerns, questions,
okay,
all that kind of stuff. So we're just kind of making a list of all of the residents that are responding to those letters and, all that.
Hey.
And I totally lied. I mean, I guess you just put me on the spot. I just thought I was talking about the maintenance building.
no?
So I have a couple things.
Okay.
It'll be
No,
quick.
before, because I know
Yes,
they
and
like
they
to
can
go.
go.
There was one thing I wanted to wrap up from rules of council that
Okay.
I did not think I got an answer on.
Okay,
There is the motion to amend section. It says, a motion to amend shall be susceptible but of one amendment.
oh, I didn't strike that. I just think it means, Yeah.
I don't know, it's in there, that's what we
it means-
voted on?
Yeah, it means nothing. I think what it means is, you can only, a motion is only subject to one amendment. That's all it.
So what should it say susceptible but of one amendment? I wanna make, if it's correct.
It's really inartfully phrased, but that is what.
It's like the second or third
Okay.
meaning of the word.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
way down there, but yeah,
Okay.
it is correct.
Okay.
It's a little archaic, I guess.
okay, that was
yeah.
the one question that was out there, that before we really wrapped up rules of council, I wanna make sure we were good on, so, okay, go for it.
We started advertising for lifeguards and
Yes.
concession workers. We put it on the website today, we sent out an email blast, we did all of that at 16 and over.
Yep.
I don't know when the lifeguard classes are gonna be, but I assume it's gonna be some point in time in May.
Mhm.
And then this is just not really for you, but I guess I'm just telling you, we had a tree fall over at GFS. It was completely in the road all the way across, so I sent Tanner out there to move it. It has been moved into GFS. They did not cut it up and do anything like that, they did just kind of get it out of the roadway.
Was there a tree originally, right?
It wasn't
Yeah.
their original,
That's their tree.
and we did clean up the debris and all that kind of stuff and just kind of push that out of the way as well, but I don't know if they just need to know that it did fall, but I mean, I don't have an issue, I'm just making sure that they're aware that it fell and it was
Yeah.
moved out of the way.
Let them know if they've got tires, and let them know that people
Yeah.
are, they wanna go visit their property when they're off the grid.
Okay, and then last but not least, the only other thing that I have is some point in time in the month of March, as time allows, the goal is to have one of our maintenance people go through the, sidewalks, all in the new section, one piece by another. Any of the villages that needs fixed will be fixed. The last time that I actually did walk through the village, I did trip 2 different places because I was on my phone. I was on my phone not paying attention. But that just means that there are sidewalks that need
Yeah,
fixed.
more than a quarter inch high.
Correct. So there were 2 tripping hazards. I'm completely, no, I did not fall, but that made me think that it's been long enough. We have been a couple years, we actually put in the sidewalk code about 2 years ago.
Right.
We have never enforced it,
Right.
and I am going to have our maintenance team go out, write down the addresses of every single property, including Village. Village will take care of any of theirs, and my goal is to send out a courtesy letter to start. This is our policy, this is what it is, and then we will take it from there, anybody that doesn't resolve it. So we'll go based on what the code says, this is how long they have, but my first goal is to send out, because I do like to do that, some people may not be aware. But if anybody has an issue with that, just let me know. But the goal is to do it in March.
Is there anything telling them how to fix it?
I mean, we're gonna send out the code, so I don't know if we'll just patch the entire code, it's like pages.
You typically, when you weren't here for the whole debate with the sidewalk program, but there's different flavors of how the program can be held. Some municipalities just go and pay for it to be done. Some they give you the option, so you can opt out and do it yourself. But it has to be inspected, and so when you run the risk of doing it wrong, you have to break it up and redo it. Otherwise, we could bid a contract if we chose, but we have code on the books of how people are to handle it this
Yes.
stage.
And what we would do is I would just make sure that we attach that with everybody's, this is the code, this is why, just to make life easier for everybody for the first time. So, we did put a blurb in the newsletter, if you haven't seen it, there's a blurb in the newsletter about that. And then I'm also just gonna and Jesse is fully aware of this, so, we've had some ongoing conversations about Rita and, collecting income tax, and we have had a couple meetings in regards to what we can do to force people that aren't paying and make sure that everybody is paying their fair share, and we will continue that conversation, options that we can continue to move forward on.
That came up in finance too, so.
Yes.
I know, it just struck me, so I'm just curious, because I know we have diversity in our area. I know that there's a lot of Nepali. I don't know if there is, a way to include a multi-language type of a notice to people that might not be. I just thought.
There are translation services, I don't know what the cost would be on them.
How
But
many
they do
different
exist.
languages are spoke over there? Because I was under the impression that there were actually a lot, and that could get pretty costly.
Yeah.
There
Well,
is.
it's just something that I thought of, and I thought I'd just bring it up because I thought.
So I had a meeting at the school today, and that was actually one of the questions that I asked them, how many children are in this school that actually do not speak any English at all, and I was pretty surprised by that. And when Tanner was in elementary school, there were 2, and that number's way different.
It is.
So I'm not in disagreement, I was curious how they communicate and how they understand the needs of some of those kids that really just don't speak English and, are really kind of shut down. I know you have a child that's shut down that speaks English, I feel like you have a little bit more of a, but, I mean,
Maybe they'll sort it out. It was just something that I was just like thinking.
I agree, I don't know.
Hey, can I get a flavor of the feeling of council on a topic that came up with the pool recently?
Topics, wait.
So,
Do I get to have an opinion?
you can, yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
We're not voting. Okay, so, the middle school approached us about using the pool for their middle schoolers towards the end of the school year. Like the May 16th, 17th, 18th, I think are the dates. Our pool is typically not open until Memorial Day weekend, however, they are willing to pay for it. For about 2 hours each of those days, 6th grade one day, 7th grade one day, 8th grade the other day. our pool manager's like, hey, I don't have lifeguards, you know, I'm still in school, because he does substitute. We're thinking that's a lot of money to turn down, potentially a lot of money to turn down. Can we find lifeguards from Westerville Rec, YMCA, things like that, just to have guards up? You know, is that something you think we should pursue, or do you want us just to drop it? What are your thoughts? I mean, let's just say it's $5 a kid, and I don't know if that's too much or not. There's 600 or 700 kids per day.
I would hate to miss out on an opportunity
Yeah.
to help the pool generate revenue.
I agree with that, but I remember when I went to Hawthorne and the pool day was like the best day of the year. And I just think how awesome that would be for other people to like
Yeah,
embrace that same thing.
yeah. So we've been talking a little internally if we should pursue it, you know, kind of going against what our pool manager is saying. But,
What's the occupancy of the pool?
oh, we can have, I don't even know what the, honestly, I
lot.
don't know.
A lot.
It is a
It's
lot,
huge.
yeah.
It's
Hundreds.
huge.
We can easily do several hundred at the pool.
Okay, and can they help find lifeguards?
Possibly,
They
we could ask them,
probably-
yeah.
Yeah,
Sign a waiver.
the mayor's not gonna lifeguard, is that what she's saying?
I'm not like her.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you guys can tell me to shut up at any point in time, so everybody can go. And if you guys want to go, you guys can.
Yeah,
So I did
You're welcome.
reach out to some people, to find out about getting lifeguards when that was brought to my attention. The only person that has called me back so far is Western Parks and Rec. So I talked to her last night for about 30 minutes. It was a great conversation. They currently have the same issue. They used to, pre-COVID, have a lot of returning college students, which no longer happens. I'll make this the quick version. She is going to keep all of my information. She said that they use Highlands. They have not been able to host schools. They used to do it every single year. They've not been able to do it since COVID because they also cannot get lifeguards. She is going to keep, you know, I said, well, we have a much smaller pool. We're not Highlands because they need about 20 lifeguards to function where they are.
right.
And I said, you know, we probably only need about 5. Some of the concerns from John, when I spoke to him Wednesday, he came in, had a meeting with him. Some of his concerns were, you know, making sure that if we do have outside lifeguards, what if they don't show up that day? Then we have all these kids showing up. So he had some really valid concerns. And, you know, she assured that her lifeguards are not going to do that unless they're like on their deathbed. But, you know, so that's why I said we would have to have at least 5 because if one didn't show up, something along those lines. You know, she even said if we were able to make this work, you know, we could pay them whatever we needed to pay them. They really want to help us because I did explain to them that Westerville has done so much for the village, you know, with the schools and letting us in, you know, just everything that the middle school's done, the elementary school's done and all of that kind of stuff, that, you know, this is something that maybe for other reasons that we really feel like we should do everything that we can to help out the kids, the teachers, all of that. So she did also express some of the very same concerns that John did. So when I had a conversation with John, and I'm going to be honest, and John can listen to this, I thought, he's exaggerating. This lady tells me the exact same thing. So John says that they do more saves that one particular day than they do the rest of the year. And then some. Because these kids come in, they're so excited, they don't realize they can't swim.
How does that slip one's mind? I'm sorry.
The children, I mean, and or they don't realize
You'll
that they
find
can't.
out.
Yeah, or they just realize that they can't swim and they're just trying to get in with their friends. So you do have to make sure that you do have some really good lifeguards that are able, because she said that the last time that they were in Highlands, it was in the number of about 20 saves that they had to do.
Yeah.
So John was concerned about the liability for the village if, you know, we're using someone else's lifeguards. Like I said, this girl, they would be certified, in the event that we can do it, again, because I'm playing devil's advocate here, because I hear money, I hear the fact that we would have the pool open even earlier, and that is great for me because I'm stressed. So there's a lot of benefits to doing it. She also said it was, in some of the benefits, it was great to being able to get anybody, like concession workers or anybody that was able to work that day. That was kind of like their soft opening. It gave people the training, it gave people all of that. So in the event that we were able to get some college kids, even of our own, you know, Carson, I don't want to use, I shouldn't be using names, but, you know, in the event that some of them were able to come back, maybe it's something that we could get some of them and you get just a little bit of a refresher. So, there were definitely some pros and cons. Again, had a great conversation. She definitely did express and say that our, you know, his concerns were valid concerns, because that is something that is very, she said the way that they could reduce that was either close off the diving boards completely, or you make them do a swim test. So the first 45 minutes is, if you want to go on the diving board, you have to prove that you can swim. And they put like an X or whatever on their hands, and only those children can do it. So again, she explained that there are ways around, you know, making sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's the best you can.
Right.
So, you know, again, it was a great conversation. So she has all of my information. She is gonna work on it. You know, she looks at it the same way I do. We've got a good month and a half. I mean, my view is they're probably gonna plan like a field day instead. And if we called them 3 weeks before and said, hey, you guys can come to the pool, they would probably still come to the pool. So I view it as we probably still have a little bit of time to try to get some lifeguards. Again, we have the ads going out. John does typically use as many lifeguards from last year as he possibly can, because they're trained, they know what they're doing, he trusts them, they show up on time. All of that. Same thing with concession workers. We'll reach out to some of the ones that we had last year. But it's something that we are going to still work on it, and then have, you know, if in the event that we could do it, we would probably sit down with legal, make sure that we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's, because again, they're not village employees, the lifeguards aren't village employees, can we even do it? So Jason and I are kind of spitballing.
Yep.
And if it doesn't happen this year, how can we make it happen next year?
Get
So
the school
they-
system to lengthen the school schedule to go to work.
Or just, if they're a lifeguard, they're just allowed a free excuse day out of school.
They are Westerville employees, and they'll be watching Westerville students.
Correct.
And so there is that tie-in, and this is Kelly you were talking to.
Yes, she was so sweet.
And this is a wonderful offload for the center, and we could be more and more of this for them potentially in the future. Because, you know, they've got the pool, all the schools would love to do something like this. You know, these three happen to be here.
Right.
This could be a real partnership that we could build over time as well. They also have older adults in the morning, when the older adults are there, that might be interested as well.
Right.
So we're not just dependent upon high schoolers
Right.
and college kids for doing something like this.
Right.
There may be other people who would be willing to work however many hours it is, how long.
It's
like
just,
2 or 3 hours.
it's only like 2
Yeah.
hours each day.
Yeah, so
For
this,
3 days.
I mean, it's a possibility, but this weird shortage, I worked at the community center last year just briefly because it was so much fun. But, and I'm not being sarcastic, it is the most fun place to work. But they can't get lifeguards. It's bizarre. I don't know how the Y does it. The Y never has a shortage, but Westerville is almost always short.
Yeah,
Very frustrating.
yeah.
What about the
Cool.
person in the newsletter?
What?
The newsletter, maybe there's some residents.
Possibly, possibly.
Was it in the newsletter? No, I saw it on
No, we
Facebook,
just-
wherever I saw it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
that
just
we're hiring
about-
lifeguards.
yeah.
That's basically for the whole season.
Right.
Okay.
So that's
Right.
that's for everything.
Yeah, but it's a possibility, and it would be a great partnership, a great additional partnership.
I think
with
you're right.
Westerville.
All right, anything else? We're good? Motion to dismiss? All right, have a good night.
They're